All right, guys, so we're all ready to go. I'm actually super excited to go on this ride because I've been wanting to take this bike up into the mountains for a while, but the weather hasn't been super great. It's been super windy. Actually, last time I was up here with this bike, I took it up by car, and the wind knocked over the bike and it broke my kickstand and also broke like a $50 piece on my microphone, which freaking sucks. But anyways, man, I am so excited for this video. So excited to talk about the things that we need to know about these bikes, which is how are people going to react? What are the cops going to say when they see you rolling around on one of these bikes? So of course, first things first, I'm going to get on the road. I'm going to gather my thoughts, and then we're going to start talking about it. I think I'm going to go over Karens first before we go over cops. And I'm going to be talking about my experiences, like I've said, over the last 4 years of riding these bikes around pretty consistently. And I have quite a few funny stories that might help you out with your e-bike journey in the future, and you know why. Anyways, so excited to get out here. Let's go. All right, fellas, so we are totally on the move right now. You can see the mountains up there. That's where I'm headed. It seems so far away, but it seems to go a lot quicker than you think getting up there. Right now, I'm just gonna stop by a friend's house to go and pick a few things up, and then we are going to be on our way. And let me turn on my Insta360 camera really quick. And boom, we got a little bit of front-facing action. That way it looks like I'm speaking to you and not speaking to the world. I think I'm gonna start with Karens, right? Karens are usually older people. Sometimes they can be younger people. Sometimes they're very entitled and they just wanna ruin your day. And even if you're not really doing anything wrong, they wanna come up to you, say they're gonna call the police. I think we all know what a Karen is. I don't really need to explain that. I'd also like to quickly mention that not all Karens are bad. Sometimes people will yell at you because you deserve to be yelled at because you're being an asshole. Also, sometimes they might be concerned about your safety. So I do want to bring that up. Not everybody who doesn't want you riding around is a bad person, but some of them are. And I have a lot of stories, or at least a couple good ones, that I'm going to be going over with you guys today. Really quickly, if you guys have any Karen or police related stories on e-bikes of your own, make sure to go ahead and leave those down in the comments below because I would be very intrigued to read them, and I know other people would be too. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys about my first encounter with a Karen. So I used to have this scooter called a 010X, and I hope these cars aren't drowning out my audio here. It was called a 010X. Many of you have probably heard about it. It's a pretty popular scooter out on the market. Dual motors, gets up to maybe a little over 40 miles per hour. Absolutely sick little scooter. Always used to whip around on that thing when I was like 14. And for me, what it was sort of like freedom. It was freedom for me because, you know, I went from a kid on a regular pedal bicycle where I could go, you know, maybe within a few miles of my house to basically being able to have free range of anywhere I wanted with this new scooter. So it was awesome. Anyways, love the scooter. Gist of it is I got around on it and I used to make YouTube videos on it. So one time I was filming a video and I think it was a top speed test or something, and I was on this road that was, I think, a 40 mile per hour speed limit. I could be wrong, but I believed I was going the speed limit. That's why I was riding on the road in the first place. Anyways, so I'm riding on this road, cruising, having a jolly good old time. I got my GoPro on, and you guys can go ahead and check out the full video. And I hear a little roaring behind me, and I'm like, hold on. Like, what's going on with this? What is this? I look behind me, right? Because my dumb ass didn't have any mirrors. Actually, I don't have any right now, so I'm still dumb. I look behind me, and there is an SUV about 7 to 10 feet behind me, right on my ass. Just right on my ass, 40 miles per hour. I'm on a scooter, mind you. This scooter is not incredibly nimble. So essentially, this person is right on my ass. If I'm to brake, they're gonna hit and kill me. If I was to turn to the right or turn to the left, I might fall either into another car or fall into the rocks that were to the side of the road, possibly, most likely injuring myself very badly. So this was an awful predicament to be in, and I genuinely thought I was going to die. That was one of the very few times where I genuinely thought I was going to die, and I still remember it today. Anyways, I pull up to the side of this road, totally freaked out. This lady pulls up next to me and starts yelling at me, like, "You're not supposed to be on the road with that thing. It's not fast enough to keep up with the cars." And it's like, look, lady, if I'm not going fast enough for you, just go around me, right? Just go around me if I'm not going fast enough for you. Or, you know what? instead of trying to speed and go past the speed limit, maybe spend an extra 10 seconds on the road just so you can totally avoid this confrontation and avoid killing somebody. Boom. I totally roasted this lady. Granted, of course, it is a little bit dangerous to be riding an electric vehicle. I am self-aware, you know, on the road, right? It's a little bit dangerous to be riding an electric vehicle on the road, but total asshole move. That is a certified Karen. There was this guy, probably mentally ill. He'd always be walking around with a guitar, and I would always encounter him on the Mesa. And the Mesa is this place where I like to ride because there's tons of trails and stuff, and it was just a great place to ride. It's still there. I still ride there sometimes to test out bikes and stuff. And I'm on a Sur-Ron X. You guys know the Sur-Ron X is freaking awesome bike. I'm pretty sure they're still awesome. Of course, they got a lot more different models that are kind of like the Sur-Rons. Of course, they're all just Sur-Rons to me because I'm old school like that. You know, I'm 18. I'm basically an old man, at least as far as e-bikes go. So anyways, I'm riding on the Mesa. And essentially what this guy does, the first time I encounter him, I go past him on a trail. I sort of slow down and go slowly around him. The first time I see him, he says some shit like, "Fuck you, you pussy ass motherfucking bitch," or something like that, right? He doesn't really explain why he's angry. He just tells me that he's angry and calls me a pussy ass bitch. And that's the first encounter I had with this guy. So now I knew that there was a Karen on the loose. I knew I'd seen this guy before. Maybe I'd encounter him again. And I tried to make it my mission to capture this guy on camera, but whenever I tried to record this guy, I just wouldn't see him. So I did actually end up encountering him again. I went past him on a trail, right? And he held out his hand for me to stop. And of course, you know, he blared the same like, "Pussy ass bitch, motherfucker, you're not supposed to be riding here, blah, blah, blah." And I just flipped him off and went past. So that's Karen example number 2. So this guy not only gave me issues, but he's also given a whole bunch of people issues. Just people I know on e-bikes and stuff. They're like, "Oh, there's this guy with this guitar. I always see him. He's always flipping me off and telling me fuck you because I'm on an e-bike." So that's example number 2. And probably the craziest e-bike Karen encounter that I've ever had. This is one that I've unfortunately never got on video for you guys to see. Me and that guy just had a moment. I think me and him just had a moment. Yo! I'm in love with him now. You know, that's a bond you can never break. Third example of a Karen, one of my neighbors. And I'm not gonna say any names because these people are pretty crazy. But anyways, they sort of live, my neighborhood, we sort of live on the edge of a whole bunch of trails and stuff. And they're meant to be hiking trails, hiking and like mountain biking. But my neighbors, some of them are really chill. Some of them are just totally crazy. And if they see you on an e-bike on one of those trails, whether it's legal or not, they're gonna yell at you. They're gonna yell at you and tell you to fuck off, and that they're gonna call the police and you're gonna get arrested, yada, 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 this and that. These are just the type of people that they are. And it's kind of a shame because it sucks having neighbors like that. We all know they're the type of like HOA motherfuckers who, you know, want to ruin your life over you having an untrimmed bush. So I've been yelled at these people by a few times on these trails sort of behind my house. But one of the most notable times where I was yelled at was on my own property on an e-bike. See, basically my property almost kind of goes onto these trails a little bit. So I was just chilling on my property, on my bike, having a jolly old time. I was with my brother, we were just talking about it. And basically this lady comes up to us and says, "Get off right now or I'm gonna call the cops." And I'm like, "Hold on, lady, what do you mean?" He's like, "Get off right now, you're on private property and I'm gonna call the cops." Because she's assuming that we're on the trails that's like private property, but it's really our property. And I'm like, "No, fuck you, this is our property." And basically, you know what she does? She goes, she just like, you know, scoffs, and then she leaves. Immediately, Karen destroyed. Karen dismantled. Karen is like 0-4, 0 aura moment. Karen has absolutely no aura. So those are examples of Karens and e-bikes. There's not too many ways to avoid them. I would say just don't be a jackass. Sort of avoid areas where you have a lot of people. walking dogs and stuff, you know, recreationally. And you'll probably find these are probably the least harmful encounters, because these people typically will never actually try to physically harm you. They're just gonna do a little bit of emotional damage. So we are good. We are now to part 2 of this video, which is the police and e-bikes. So believe it or not, this might be a shocker, I haven't had too many issues with police being on these bikes. Just the other day, I actually rode past a police officer on an equestrian trail that I was not supposed to be at, and he smiled and gave me the thumbs up, or whatever this is. It's like a thumbs up / peace sign. It almost seemed like he liked the fact that I was riding on that trail, which might be a crazy concept to some people, because I know police can give people issues in other places. I live in Santa Barbara County. I think it's it's not very strict here, and they don't typically give me too many issues. So the first real encounter, I'm gonna go over 2 encounters that I had with police, just because I honestly don't want to edit through all this footage, because I'm lazy as hell. So encounter number 1, I was on, not this road, but on a road that connects to this road, probably about 10-15 miles away. But yes, it does connect to this road, sort of a similar road structure and view and everything. So kind of gives you an idea of where I was. And I wasn't supposed to be up there at the time. The national park was closed, and I was riding up there. I was Mad Maxing it, you know what I'm saying? Essentially, I was up there illegally. I honestly didn't really know that I was up there illegally, because the signs that said no entry were moved to the side of the road. But the first hint that I had that I was up there illegally was when I was stopped by a person up there in a truck, and it was this lady, and she said, "You're lucky I don't give you a ticket, because you know, if you weren't such a young guy, like I wouldn't be so sympathetic to you." Granted, I was 16 at the time. This was 2 years ago. So that was my first warning. She told me to get the fuck off. So I did, and I was coming from this side of the trail, right? I was coming up. I thought I was up here legally. Here's where the lady told me to go screw off. And then I was coming down, because this was the quickest way down. So I was doing a full circle with this road. And on my way down, 2 police officers are coming up, and they basically, they see me, they turn on the lights, and they blockade the road. And I'm like, ah, shit, you know, it's none of my business to get into like a police chase or anything. I just pull over and I'm like, what's up, right? And essentially, these guys are like, yo, what are you doing up here? Did you not see us down there blocking off the road and all those signs and stuff? You just blew past us. Like, you know you're up here illegally, right? And for whatever reason, I lied to the police and told them, yeah, I did blow past you, even though I didn't. I had no idea that they were down there. So I lied to the police, and me lying to the police basically got me a $180 ticket, which is why you don't want to lie to the police, especially in situations where you feel like you are innocent, because sometimes it might not work in your favor. I wanted to make it sound like I was on that specific road for less amount of time, but if I had just stuck to my original story and told the truth, I wouldn't have been in any deep shit. Funny thing about this is, I got a ticket, but I didn't get a ticket for being on the e-bike I was on. I was on a 14 kilowatt e-bike / electric motorcycle, totally illegal, especially considering the fact that I didn't have any licensing or registration for it. And they were like, yo, what's this? And I'm like, oh, it's a class 3 e-bike. It goes like 35 miles per hour. I was capping. It really went like 65. And the guy's like, oh, you know, I'm pretty sure those things are illegal. I'm like, yeah, it's my friend's bike, and I wanted to test it out and get some video of it, get some drone video. And they're like, all right, yeah, whatever. And they just ignore it. So I didn't get a ticket for being on that bike. I got a ticket for being on the mountain. Now on to experience number 2 with the police. Close call number 2. I was at a party, a beach fire to be more specific, and the police pull up, right? And it's a bunch of high school kids and stuff. And they all scram because they're afraid of getting arrested, even though the cops aren't going to arrest you, you know, for being at a beach party. That's not what they do. They don't fucking care enough. They just want to break it up. So they break it up. All the kids are scramming, and I got my bikes parked behind a bush. And I'm ready to go home because the party's over. Man, I love this bike. This thing is sick, man. Coswheel CT20S. Big shout out to Coswheel. My review, if you want to check it out, didn't get a whole lot of views, but I actually really do like this bike. It's one of my favorite bikes. And I'm super happy to have it. Anyways, a little bit off topic. So anyways, I parked my bikes behind a bush, and I was ready to go home. Walking back to my bikes. Me and my friend were there. My friend had a Sur-Ron, I had my Enduro e-bike, and we were getting on and getting our gear all ready and everything. And then suddenly I look up and we're swarmed by 5 or 6 cops. So I'm thinking, oh no, they're gonna bust us, right? Guess what happens? They are so intrigued by our e-bikes. They're all asking questions. They're like, yo, how fast do they go? I tell them the truth. I tell them it goes 60 miles per hour. They're like, dude, that's crazy. Be safe, man. And they're like, they probably would have asked me to ride it if they weren't on duty. So just setting the example here, I don't think cops really care as much as you think they do. As long as you're not being a jackass, to them, it's really just not even worth chasing you or trying to arrest you. I know certain counties a lot more strict, certain states a lot more strict, but especially if you live in California, SoCal, holy crap, they do not care. They do not give a single flying fuck. So anyways, that's my experience with Karens and cops. Make sure to go ahead, hit that like button, leave a nice comment down below. Most importantly, subscribe so you can help me reach 100,000 subscribers. That's the new goal. Make sure to go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys soon in the next one. Later.